Hi, I'm Tanisha and you're watching this video with just tutors.com. Today we are going to learn about linear equations in two variables, and in this video we'll first have a brief introduction on linear equations, then we'll learn about few terms related to it, which is variables, coefficients and constants, and then we'll look at some solution of a linear equation in two variable. So before we move on to the topic, let us try some warm-up questions first. If you want to try the questions by yourself, you can pause the video and match your answers later. So question number 1. Which number is on left side of the equation? So we know that the equal to sign divides the equation into two parts, which is left hand side and right hand side, and we can say that 24 is on the left side of this equation. Let's come to question number 2. Rajesh's age is 5 times more than Monu's age. When Monu is 15 years old, how old is Rajesh? So we know that Rajesh is actually 5 times Monu's age. And when we know that Monu is 15 years old, so we can do 5 times 15 to get to the Rajesh's age, which would be 75 years. So Rajesh is 75 years old. Let's come to question number 3. That says, Jack had rupees 111 after purchasing a meal of rupees 139. What was the amount that Jack had in the beginning? Write a linear equation and solve it. So let us say that the amount that Jack had in the beginning is X rupees. So we know that the amount which is left with him after purchasing the meal is 111. So the linear equation would look like this. Hence, to get to the amount that he had in the beginning, we just need to add both the numbers and the answer would be 250 rupees. Pat your back if you've got all the answers absolutely correct. Now let's move on to the topic. So we'll have a brief introduction on linear equations, and on this slide we'll talk about the standard form of linear equations. So let a, b, c be the real numbers. An equation that can be put in the form of ax plus by plus c is equal to 0, where a and b are non-zero, is called a linear equation in two variables. Here, x and y are the variables that we're talking about, then c is the constant, and a and b will be the coefficients. Well, we'll learn about these three terms more in the further slides. For now, let's substitute a with 2, b with 1 and c with 10 on the left hand side of this standard form. So a is replaced with 2, so it would be 2x, likewise b with 1, so that will be 1y, and then c with 10, so that's 10. So the equation becomes 2x plus 1y plus 10 is equal to 0, which can be rewritten as 2x plus y plus 10 is equal to 0. So this is a linear equation in two variables. Now, let us learn about the terms variable, coefficients and constants. So algebra is a branch of maths that use letters to represent missing or unknown numbers. Usually the letters are called variables because they are unknown and can change or vary. So x and y are the undefined values and hence they are called the variables. For example, we can see here, and on the other hand, the numbers that are constant are those numbers whose value never change, so they are independent of the variables always. For example, you can look at this equation here, and that's 9, which does not have any variable with it, hence it is the constant. Then the third term was coefficient. So coefficients are the number that get multiplied with the variables. So if we look at this one, that says 2x. So 2 is being multiplied by x. So hence 2 is the coefficient. Likewise here we've got 3y, that is minus 3. So minus 3 is going to be the coefficient of this equation because the standard form always talks with the addition sign. Hence for this one, the coefficient would be minus 3. Now let's move on. So we'll be looking at some solution of linear equation in two variables. So we know that whenever we try to solve any linear equation in just one variable, we get a definite answer that doesn't change ever. So let's have a look on few equations. The equation number 1 says 4x plus 8 is equal to 12. So if we try to solve it, we'll get x is equal to 1. Likewise, the second equation says 9y minus 2 is equal to 25. So if we'll solve it, we'll get y is actually equal to 3 in this equation. And for the third one, that says 2x plus 3 is equal to 3, we'll get x is equal to 0. So these are the definite answers for the equations which are just in one variable. Is it the case with the equations in two variables as well? Let's have a look. So 4x plus 5y is equal to 20. If you want to get to some values, we'll start by putting x as 0 and then we'll reach to the y value. So if you put x as 0 in this equation, we'll get y is equal to 4. Likewise, if we put y is equal to 0 in this equation, we'll get x is equal to 5. So this is how we can find out the values, but if you notice, they're not definite. If you put x is equal to 1, the value of y would change, and same is the case with x is equal to 2. So we never get a definite solution for any equation in two variables. So now let's have a look for the second equation, which says 1x plus 3y is equal to 80. So if we are putting x is equal to 0, we are getting y is equal to 26.666. So that's going to be a recurring decimal. We can always round it off as 26.67, and we can even put y is equal to 0 in this equation, and then we'll get x is actually equal to 80. So this is how we solve the equations in two variables. Let's move forward and have one more equation there. So we need to complete the tables. If x is equal to 0, the value of y becomes 33. Likewise, if x is equal to 1, the value of y is 31.5. And for x is equal to 2, the value becomes 30. And for 3, the value becomes 28.5. So this is how we can always solve the problems. Hence, any linear equation with two variables has infinitely many solutions. Now we've got some practice questions for you. Question number 1, 2, and then 3 and 4. You can pause the video and try all the questions by yourself, but don't forget to match the answers here. Thank you for watching the video. For more, please log on to justtutors.com.